baseball is in your face on ESPN with America's Game of the Week, Sunday Night Baseball, plus single games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, and a Friday night doubleheader. Sunday night, Jack Morris could be the leader on the mound the Blue Jays have been looking for. He takes the hill against Wally Joyner and the Royals on America's Game of the Week, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Back-to-back NFC West picks. The 49ers have selected Dana Hall. The Falcons, with the 19th overall selection, they're on the clock with their second first-round pick. And Gary Danielson, Vaughn Dunbar, and Tony Smith are there. If they want it back, they got a good choice.
Hey, you're talking to the Big Ten guy right here. I say take Vaughn Dunbar. He doesn't put the ball on the turf. He runs hard every play. He'll block. He's a perfect one-back guy, and Jerry Glanville will love this guy's work ethic. Hey, and Chris, when's the last time you've seen the Big Ten have three skilled players, Desmond Howard, Troy Vincent, and Vaughn Dunbar in the first round? I thought that was the tackles league and those big defensive linemen.
Well,
I'm selling Vaughn Dunbar.
Well, I mean, they also have to think perhaps about a defensive back because of what we talked about earlier in the show, the Deion Sanders question. Although his Nike contract means that he'll probably play both sports for a few more years than people thought. That, remember, Deion Sanders said, well, perhaps I would stop and not play football after the season. But I think it's running back. I agree with you, Gary. But you're sticking with the Big Ten. You're down.
I'm sticking with the Big Ten. I think they should take Vaughn Dunbar. You know, Deion Sanders under contract again next year to play for the team. They might get him in October and November. He might have to give up a little bit of that bonus money. They're going to get Deion back maybe middle of the year. But I still think they've got to address this need at running back. The other guy's name that you have to look at is Porcher. They need an outside rushing linebacker. They tried to draft Andre Bruce, didn't work out. That might be another need area that the Falcons have to address.
Well, that's for sure, Gary. I mean, there's no question the Falcons are light up front defensively. I mean, the two games against Washington, you saw what happened when they went up against the Hogs. So Atlanta not going to make a deal for Bobby Humphrey. They weren't going to make that. So now their running backs are there. We continue here in coverage in the first round. The Atlanta Falcons up with their second-round pick. And Chris Myers has got Jerry Jones out of War Room Cam. He surfaced, didn't he, Chris?
He did. Yeah, the trading has stopped for the moment. The Cowboys, with two first-round draft selections, they have traded their first pick. First they traded down, then they traded back up. And Jerry Jones with us for a moment. Still have another pick at 24, so we'll make this brief. The reason, obviously, to trade back up for Kevin Smith, you thought some other team was going to go after defensive back there.
Right. We decided to risk it a little bit and trade down considerably and hope that he wouldn't be picked. And then when we got within two of him, we had the opportunity for a reasonable cost to step back up there and make sure we got Kevin Smith. We're happy. He's a fine, quality player, and our fans are going to have a lot of years enjoying watching him play.
Played in the state of Texas and addresses the cornerback need. Were you close at all to trading up in that top 5 area? I know that's something that you had considered with guys like Buckley and Troy Vincent available early on.
We were not today. We had thought about it before today, but things had to fall just right for us to get interested in that area. It didn't happen, so we took this direction.
We have some video we want to show of the War Room draft room when you were making either the selection or the contract. And if you can just tell us what's going on. You obviously looked happy. You're on the phone either with the agent or the player, Kevin Smith.
We had just completed our negotiations with Kevin Smith. I had there, and he had agreed to all terms. We were able to get more implicit with the terms this year than we were, and Kevin and we were congratulating each other, and so it's signed, sealed, and done, and we're proud to have him on the team.
So he got his 12% increase over that slot of last year.
I'm not going to get into the details of the contract.
How long is that, by the way? Is it a 2-year deal?
We made a deal that would expand 4 years.
Okay, and a quick comment on the 24th pick, Robert Jones, the linebacker out of East Carolina. Would it be another neat area, someone you guys like?
Well, as I told you yesterday, you're into some proprietary area there. We've still got the pick to come, and we'll see what happens when we get there.
That's a nice way of saying no comment. Thanks very much, Jerry. All right, and we'll see you after the 24th pick. All right, let's throw it to Chris Mortensen over in Indianapolis.
Well, signability is an issue in the NFL today, Chris, and this is a man who was on the other side of the gun. It was Steve Zucker, who signed 2 first-rounders already, Quentin Coryatt with the Colts, and he had Kevin Smith of Texas A&M on the phone with the Cowboys. What's it like, Steve, to be on the other side of the gun and take it or leave it type deal?
It's been a busy day, but Jerry Jones and I spoke earlier in the week, and the ground rules were set. He told me he wanted Kevin. and if they were fortunate enough to pick him, would I be agreeable to a certain formula that he had established? I told him I would be. He said, just make sure we know where to reach you. I've been in touch with Kevin all morning and the Cowboys, and I'm here in Indianapolis with Quentin Coriat, who happens to be a teammate of Kevin, and Jerry Jones and his representative and myself were able to work out the deal, and it's a very fair deal for all parties.
Was it on the clock? It's against the rules to negotiate before today. If you had discussions before today, Steve.
No, we didn't talk about dollars at all before today. We did the deal on the clock within that 15-minute time frame, and but I understood what the ground rules would be going in.
They would not take Kevin Smith if you did not agree to a contract.
That was the impression that I had.
Okay, just one quick. Any other details on the contract? Terms, years, money?
No, other than it's a very fair contract, and we're very happy with it.
Very good. We're going to go back to Chris Berman in New York right now.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Now, you heard Chris Mortensen talking with Steve Zucker about negotiating until you're on the clock. Here is the clarification. When a club is on the board, as Atlanta is now with about 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in their first-round pick, then it may discuss financial arrangements involving signing a player before its selection. No club may make an offer or sign a player to a contract or any other type of agreement before it's making its selection. So I guess it's an interpretation, isn't it?
Come on.
I'm just reading it,
I
Joe.
know you're reading it, and it's you know what's nice is there's a lot of space in between everything that's printed there, so you have a lot of opportunity to sort of read between the lines and figure out that they're going to sit down and hammer out the next 4 years of a multi-million-dollar contract with a young man in 15 minutes. Right. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't necessarily think they're down to the hard dollars, but I think that the teams sit down and get close enough and say, if certain things happen, are you inclined to sort of lean this way, or would you care to go this way? And I think the rule is, it's nice, it's cute, but it's...
The guy who does the Federal Express ad did the deal in 50 minutes. Here's Atlanta's
Atlanta
Express
Falcons
pick.
have selected Tony Smith, running back, Southern Mississippi.
Well, he kind of fits Glanville's style a little more than Vaughn Dunbar, if you could say. I mean, we're amazed at where Vaughn Dunbar is going, but let's say this. Whoever selects Vaughn Dunbar is going to get one heck of a football player, but Vaughn Dunbar, you know exactly what you're going to get. The upscale on Tony Smith, and Atlanta's a team that looks at the upscale. If he develops the way they hope he will, he could be a true center. Kind of like a guy like a Mitchell that the Jets drafted at tight end. So they had their pick of running backs. Boy, they've gone offense twice, though, guys.
It makes sense to me, Chris. I think that's the one area need. I think in the playoff game against the Redskins, the one thing they found out is if you can't run the football, you can't win football games. They needed a running back. Tony Smith, the only thing that concerned me about the young man was all the film that I looked at on him, whether he ran left or ran right, was that he carried the ball in his right hand, had a tendency to put it on the ground a little bit, didn't want to get it away from the defenders that were coming from that right inside. Now, I found out a little bit later, the reason why he didn't shift the ball was he had a broken left hand. So that was the only thing that I looked at as a concern for the young man, but it has a medical explanation, and we'll just have to see if it carries forth. In the run and shoot, or the red gun, as Atlanta likes to call it, the running backs do catch the football. This kid certainly is exciting.
So the Golden Eagle from Southern Miss, the Golden Eagle, Tony Smith, becomes a Falcon. He's just changing feathers. Let's go down to Sewanee with Gary Danielson. Gary?
Hey, I feel like Peter Arnett here in Atlanta trying to get some disinformation and turn it into information for you. They tabbed all week. It's been Tony Smith, Vaughn Dunbar. This morning, the information I had was Vaughn Dunbar. Today, after the pick, we learned the reason they took Tony Smith, a little more versatility, the ability to return punts and kickoffs because of the possible loss of Deion Sanders. We should have Jerry Glanville in just a minute to react to the 2 draft picks in the first round. A little bit surprising they slid. They got one of the projected running backs they needed. They haven't addressed defensive backfield yet, but I assume they'll do that in the second round. Chris?
All right, Gary, thank you. So offense, the Falcons are going to put pressure on. They still need big guys up front on the D-line, but they're really not there. And obviously they had a choice at Spellman, but Mel, they elected to go with Tony Smith, who could be great. You think he could project as a tremendous pro?
I'll tell you, I talked to Jerry Glanville about a month ago. He loved Tony Smith. The key with Jerry Glanville, he doesn't go to the combine workout. Probably the only head coach that does not attend the combine workout. He relied on Senior Bowl. He fell in love